Hello and welcome to today's video. Today I'm making a review of a pen that I've spoken about a number of times on this channel and a lot of other people have spoken about on their channels. It's been around for a while. It is the Platinum Preppy. I've never done a video dedicated to the Preppy, so I thought I would do a quick one today. So this is a great pen for those people starting out using fountain pens. It's also great for people like artists or for people who want, a decent amount of affordable pens there ready to go. But one thing I want to say at the start is while this is a quite affordable fountain pen, please do not think of this as a disposable fountain pen. I've been using Preppies since I got back into fountain pens close to a decade ago. And I love them. I think they write beautifully. I think that they have a lot of nice features, and one of those is the price, obviously. But there's a lot of things that this pen has going for it that mean that if you have one, it should be considered as part of your setup, not just like an easy throw out sort of on the side. Yes, if you want to carry a pen that you don't mind damaging, or that if you lose it, you're not going to be upset, this is a really great option. I'll say at the start, this retails for around the $10 Australian mark or the $5.50 US mark. So it is affordable. But today I'm going to talk about the parts and features of this particular version. I'll show a writing sample, and I'll show a writing sample with the 02, the 03, and the 05 Platinum Preppy nibs. And I'll talk about some pros and cons of the pen. So starting at the top of the pen, you see 05 there. So this is the 05 model. This has the black clip and end finial there. There are a number of different versions of this, including some slightly more expensive versions with like versions of Maquier and things like that. And they can go up to like the 20 plus Australian dollar mark. But this is the version that I'm using here. So depending on where you get yours, what version it is, it may look slightly different. Clear plastic cap. You can see in the cap, it's got this cap liner. It's one of the best features of this pen. It's that it's got a great seal on it. It's sort of spring-loaded seal. You can see the spring in the end there. And that keeps the nib wet for quite a long time. There is a little step down off the cap onto the barrel. This version has the M or 05 Platinum Preppy fountain pen made in Japan written on there. This is the smoky black sort of color, and it tapers down to a flat end with the sort of typical injection molding sort of like little lugs and things. It is a snap cap, and it's quite a secure snap. It feels good, and because it's got that sort of spring-loaded cap liner, you feel a nice sort of little resistance on there. It's got a remarkably comfortable section. It's not particularly narrow, which is nice. You see the ink and the feed and everything through it. And then that Platinum Preppy, and this is once again the 05 steel nib and plastic feed. The nib has the P for Platinum sort of logo on it there as well. It's kind of like the sort of pen you pick up from your local office supply store. In a lot of ways, it's not dissimilar to something like the Pilot V pen, which is another sort of fountain pen that comes like this. But the advantage that the Platinum has is that this uses a cartridge. So it comes with a Platinum proprietary Platinum cartridge, but you can also put a converter in there, although the Platinum converters aren't the best, and they are also not super inexpensive. Another advantage of this pen is that it can be eyedropper filled. So if you put some silicone grease on those threads, you put an O-ring at the end up here, that will secure this barrel here and make it a really great pen for eyedroppering with a huge capacity. A lot of artists use these pens eyedroppered simply because the ink capacity it gives you is massive, or people will dedicate a pen like a Platinum Preppy to something like the infamous Bay State Blue ink. Once again, as I said, 10 Australian dollars roughly, a couple of dollars either way, depending on individual retailers and sales and things like that. But as I said, if you want to have an ink that shimmer inks and things like that you're not sure about, pens like the Preppy make a great option. So that pretty much covers the parts and features of the Platinum Preppy. Let's now do a size comparison. So to put the size of this pen into context, here it is alongside a Lamy Safari. You see it's not that far off the length. It might be like 1 or 2 millimeters shorter, but that's it. Uncapped, once again, you see it's not dissimilar. Both have a sort of a smaller, similar shaped nib, but unlike the Lamy Safari with its triangular grip section, the grip section of the Platinum Preppy is entirely round. Posted, the Safari is still a little bit longer there, but I find the balance and the size of the Platinum Preppy to be really very comfortable. The dimensions of the Platinum Preppy are 139 millimeters when it's capped. It's 124 when it's uncapped, so it's a decent usable sort of length. It's 157 when it's posted, so not too long. It's really very comfortable. The entire pen only weighs 12.5 grams, 8.5 in the body and 4 in the cap, so the balance doesn't go out either. Now, the section is around 10 millimeters in diameter, and around the cap is about 12. So it's a fairly sort of standard size fountain pen. Okay, I'm going to start the writing sample here with just a very quick written example I've done with the 3 different nib sizes I have. I've got the 02, which I've said here has a nice feedback. The 03 is a great writer. It's a great sort of everyday writing fine width. And then the 05 is so smooth. I'll do a writing sample with the 05 in just a second, but you can definitely see a difference in line width across the 3, and the extra fine, or the 02 here, is super extra fine. It's a really great nib if you want to do detail work. Once again, I'm talking about people like artists and things like that, or just like small everyday writing. Remembering this is 5mm grid rhodia paper, so you can see how narrow those lines really are and how much you can actually fit into that 5mm grid with a nib of that size. But let's do a writing sample now with this pen live. So we've got the Platinum Preppy. This is the 05 or medium nib size. It just has the Platinum black cartridge that came with the pen. Let's do some writing. This nib really is very nice. You don't necessarily expect that with a pen at this price point. Reverse writing is very nice and actually brings it in line with the 02 nib size there. Flex, I wouldn't push this, it's quite stiff. It's not designed for that. Fast writing. No real issues, a little bit of nib alignment issues sort of there, but this is a pen that writes pretty flawlessly, especially sort of at this price point. It's Platinum, so they are a recognized brand that you would expect the pen to write well, but what you don't expect is a pen that writes this smoothly and this consistently, perhaps. The Pilot V pen is very similar in the fact that it writes first time every time. I've never had this pen dry out. I've often had these in my drawer for months at a time without writing, and they start straight up. I've had times where I did a test where I kept one in my drawer with the ink in it, cap on, for a year, and it wrote perfectly. So, you know, there's a reason why this pen is so popular at so many different levels. And with these little, different nib sizes available, you've got lots of great options. So what are the pros and cons of the Platinum Preppy? Well, the cons are, firstly, it is proprietary cartridge and converter. So you can't use standard international, which is okay because the Platinum cartridges are pretty widely available and they're pretty darn good, but the converters are not as great. So my suggestion is that you use the cartridge that comes in it, then clean it and refill it with whatever ink you want to use. I have one at the moment inked up with an artist ink, so it's not even a fountain pen ink, and the pen still performs absolutely perfectly. I don't suggest that. The other option is eyedroppering, of course, so you've got good options there. You know, there are things like the fact that the styling of the pen is very basic. It's not an attractive pen. It's really that office supply store kind of styling. You get it in a blister pack that hangs on the shelf, that kind of thing. You know, they're not a beautiful pen. They do look like a commercial ballpoint pen. Same with the Pilot, V pen here. They're not designed to be fancy fountain pens. They're designed to be affordable, everyday fountain pens that just write super well. So what are the pros? Well, firstly, the price. As I said, around the $10 Australian mark, $5.50 US roughly, for the Platinum Preppy version. Now, you can get other fancier versions, things like the Meteor or the Prefonte, and then take jumps up to something like the Plaisir, and even above that, the Procyon, which use similar kinds of nibs. So even the Plaisir uses the same nib and feed as the Platinum Preppy. And in fact, this is the Muji polycarbonate fountain pen, and you can see here, they are made by Platinum. They even had the Platinum nib on them, and same feed and all of that kind of stuff, same cartridges. In fact, the caps are interchangeable. So, it's a pen that is respected, and they know they're on something good, and they continue to use the same sort of nib, feed, and grip section across different models. I do also like the fact that you've got the, here's the EF version 0.2, so extra fine, fine, medium, 02, 03, 05, available, lots of great options there, and marked differences. I like the fact that it can be eyedropped. Simple silicone grease, O-ring, away you go. There's also a great range of colors available to you. So the pen comes in, like, you can get the individually, or sometimes you can get a multi-pack, and there's pink, red, purple, green, blue. I think there's even like a blue-black version, and of course the plain black. And I think there's even a crystal version, which is a completely clear body. So lots of good options. But for me, one of the great things about this pen is that sealing system. The fact that it keeps the nib wet. You can cap this, as I said, for a year in your drawer. It will write without a hesitation every time. So chuck this in your handbag, chuck this in your backpack, carry on around in your pocket. As I said, lots of artists use these. I use these for a lot of my art stuff. As I said, I fill it with non-fountain pen ink, or sort of more permanent black inks and things for sketching on the go, because it's an affordable pen that is super reliable, and once again has a super fine, extra fine nib. So this was the Platinum Preppy. I hope you found this video interesting and useful. Please like and subscribe, hit the notifications button, all that kind of stuff. If you've got products you think I should be looking at, or if there's a way you would like to support the channel, I would love to hear from you. Also, what are your thoughts on the Platinum Preppy? Drop those down in the comments below, and let's keep the community conversation going. In the meantime, enjoy your pens, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.